Wild Steelers update as insiders reveal that a trade is coming as the Pittsburgh Steelers have been rumored to want to trade up in the NFL draft. My name is Peyton Kleppy, and on today's episode of Steelers Digest, we'll be breaking down the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Before we get into the latest news, just click that subscribe button down below if you guys have not already. 91% of our current viewers are not already currently subscribed. So click that subscribe button where you get you guys the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news, analysis, rumors, anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We will get a video out to you daily. Let's get right into the news. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been rumored to make a crazy draft trade in this upcoming draft. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have been rumored to be trading up with the Carolina Panthers. As you know, the Panthers GM, Dan Morgan, has come out today and said his phones didn't go nuts after news broke about Derek Carr's shoulder injury. But you know, he does have the number 8 overall pick. So he said he'll be waiting if somebody wants to come up. You know, Ian Rappaport also reported this as well. You know, like I said, Dan Morgan did say that he will be waiting if someone wants to come up. And he's referring to the Saints as Derek Carr did sustain a shoulder injury. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are another team to look out for. You know, we did host Shedeur Sanders on a visit last week. And Shedeur believed that the Pittsburgh Steelers were a 10 out of 10. That's what he rated him. And Mike Tomlin is rumored to have a ton of interest in Shedeur Sanders. So moving up for the Pittsburgh Steelers really isn't out of the question. They really are in that mix to want to trade up to those top couple picks. They did in the past with Devin Bush. Obviously, we know that didn't really go our way. But we did trade up for the 10th overall pick that year. I believe it was 2018 or 2019. And we have done it in the past with Broderick Jones. We also had to trade up with the New England Patriots a few years ago to get him. Obviously, he's still developing as well. So in the past, really has not been great when we have had to trade up for players. But Shedeur Sanders, you know, if Tomlin likes him, maybe he's the guy. We'll have to wait and see. Realistically, will it happen? Will Shedeur come to Pittsburgh? If the Steelers are trading up, it probably won't be for him. It's probably going to be for someone else. But we'll have to wait and see, you know. Because Tomlin does like Shedeur Sanders. So, you know, he is the head coach. So we all know how much he has an influence on the decision-making process in Pittsburgh. And if he's banging the table for Sanders, they could entertain the idea of trading up to number 8. And it would certainly require a lot of compensation for the Carolina Panthers. So obviously they would have to trade a pretty big star of a player. And we traded him our receiver last year in Deontay Johnson. Will we do it again with George Pickens? You know, George Pickens is a guy the Pittsburgh Steelers have had a rocky relationship with. Obviously, it's been up and down since he's come into the league. And George Pickens definitely produces when he's on the field. But obviously, when he's on the sidelines and when he's off the field, he definitely has his fair share of temper tantrums, you know. He's always throwing fits, and on the sidelines and in the offseason, this guy just can't keep his mouth shut. But he is a productive player on the field when he can stay on the field. Obviously, last year he did sustain a hamstring injury later on in the year, so he really wasn't able to play the whole season. He was projected to have over 1,000 yards this year, but with all of his antics on and off the field and his injuries, he fell a little short. I believe he only had like 900 receiving yards, about 6 or 7 touchdowns, if that. This guy has never really been a big touchdown guy since he's gotten in the league. Is that due to his play or the quarterback play? It's kind of debatable. Obviously, really haven't had too many great quarterbacks. This guy didn't even play with Big Ben, so he really has not had any elite quarterbacks. But with the news of Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur Sanders, well, if we do get Shedeur, we're probably going to have to trade GP. But with the addition of DK Metcalf, you know, DK's a dog, and he will slide into that number 1 slot like anybody else could. Not like anyone else could, like no one else could. You know, DK Metcalf is the talent that we traded our 2nd-round pick to, so he definitely will be productive. But to add the fuel to the flame, to add some fuel, George Pickens' dad did tweet this a while ago. He said, "Food for thought. GP has played with 1 Trubisky, 2 Pickett, 3, Rudolph 4, Wilson 5, Fields 6, all in 3 years. I can appreciate your sanity, 14. So like I said, George Pickens has had his fair share of different quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. He's going to go on number 6 next year, probably going to have 6 or 7 different guys. I expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to probably have 1 or 2 different quarterbacks next year, whether that is Aaron Rodgers, whether that is Shedeur Sanders or a Jalen Milroe. It remains to be seen. But, obviously George Pickens and his father have made it known that he's open to a trade, and the Pittsburgh Steelers may need Pickens to move up in the draft. Like I've said in the past, the Pittsburgh Steelers have done this as well. They had to move up for, a few years ago for Devin Bush, and they had to do it for Broderick Jones. But they also are, they're prone to trading receivers in the draft. They traded Martavis Bryant 2015 or 2016, a long time ago, and they traded him in the second round. Obviously, we got some compensation, and we replaced him. I believe we got Juju that year. Or no, Juju played with Martavis. I believe we got Deontay Johnson or one of those guys, Sammy Coates, we got with the pick. So, obviously, Steelers are not afraid to trade wide receivers. They've traded Deontay Johnson in the past. They've traded Antonio Brown. Like I said earlier, they traded Martavis Bryant. All of their star names, they've pretty much traded. Emmanuel Sanders, to add another guy to the list. Chase Claypool. These guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, are not strangers to trading their wide receivers quick. So it could be a possibility that they want to move on from George Pickens. Obviously, they just paid DK Metcalf a ton of money in the offseason. So if they want to have to pay GP, it's going to be a little tricky because he was our number 1 for the majority of his career. But obviously, with bringing in DK, it's kind of a 1A, 1B situation. So that's definitely going to play into the contract because GP is probably going to have more like a wide receiver number 2 season next year. Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to want to offer him a ton of money, so they could look to move on from him before the season even starts. Although they've said they wanted to try having Pickens and DK in the same offense, good luck paying both of them, Omar Khan and TJ Watt, and all these other guys that you're going to have to pay that you haven't paid already, and whatever quarterback that you decide to bring in. I don't know how he's going to do it, but they call him the con artist for the reason, and I do have to believe in him. But it might be the end of George Pickens in Pittsburgh, or he could be staying, and the Pittsburgh Steelers could stay at their spot at 21 in the draft. But it would be a little strange for them to do that if they want to get a quarterback in this draft. Like I said earlier, all the top guys are going to be gone by 21. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers want to have to make a draft trade, it's looking like the only team that's really willing to give up a trade that we'd reasonably give compensation for is the Panthers. Moving up to those top 5 spots, I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers would be interested in that. They'd probably have to give up a few first-round picks for that, or a great player and a few first-round picks. So they're definitely not interested in that. But I could see a George Pickens to Carolina Panthers for their number 1 draft selection. We'll have to wait and see. That is all I have for you guys tonight on Steelers Digest. If you guys have not subscribed already, click that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Peace out.